There were three men who primarily wrote the Common Core math standards. This guy, who was a physics professor at Bennington College, the head of the math department at the University of Arizona, and this guy, who is a senior fellow of America's Choice. So if you've ever had burning questions about why your kid's homework looks like this, and why they'd write a new set of standards for K-12 math, you'd have to ask them. And we did.
My name is Bill McCallum. I am a professor of mathematics at the University of Arizona.
Of course, I got the important questions out of the way first. Like, is that an Australian accent?
Yes, it's an Australian accent. I came from Australia to do a PhD in mathematics at Harvard University and met my wife there and never went back.
Okay, back to math. Why were the Common Core standards written in the first place?
Having different standards from one state to the next is one of the main causes of a problem that people have identified in the U.S., which is the so-called mile-wide, inch-deep curriculum. They were all trying to raise their standards. So there was a certain sort of linking arms where states got together and said, let's do this together, let's agree on having high standards.
Bill and his team started writing the standards in September 2009 and finished in June 2010. What was the writing process like, Bill? I'd imagine there were lots of people and lots of coffee.
Well, there was a lot of coffee involved, yes. We all had day jobs, and so this was the night job for most of us. There was a large team of about 60 people, educators, teachers, mathematicians, representatives from state departments of education. It was a large and diverse team and quite a big effort. There was also a lot of feedback from the states. It did involve a lot of being yelled at by people with very strong and passionate opinions and listening to them patiently. And apparently I still have to keep doing that. There was one about 9 plus 6 equals 15.
We're going to decompose our 6. And we know 6 is made up of parts. One of its parts is a 1, and the other part is a 5.
And the Twitter storm that followed that was complaining that it took this teacher a whole minute to explain that, whereas it only takes it a few seconds to do it the old-fashioned way. Now, what people meant by the old-fashioned way was simply knowing that 9 plus 6 equals 15. So this is a classic confusion between how you come to know something and actually ending up knowing it. Common Core actually insists that students should know 9 plus 6 equals 15 cold. The teacher was explaining how to teach children to get to the point where they know that fact. So I thought that was just very funny that people thought somehow these math facts somehow form unbidden in a student's mind without any work on the part of the teacher.
Despite everything, these are the first uniform state standards for K-12 math in the United States. That's something.
Yeah, I think it's probably the most important thing I've ever done in my life. Such a simple thing, right? What kids should know and be able to do in mathematics at each grade level, and that we could move on to solving the much more difficult problems in mathematics education. So the standards for just setting goals, but once you've agreed on goals, you can start working on how you achieve them.